Supply chain plays a critical role to ensure the efficiency running of business, but most people do not understand what is supply chain. We are in the outskirts of Nairobi town to hear what people can say about supply chain.
Supply chain is the activity which entails from the production of a good or a service from the producer to the consumer.
Supply chain ni venye naweza eleza ni kama venye product inaweza kutoka kwa manufacturer hadi ifikie kwa consumer.
John Karani, the chairperson at Kenya Institute of Supplies Management, explains to us what supply chain is.
I keep saying the supply chain is an end-to-end process, from the farm to the fork. Farm to fork means from the time you get it from the farm through the supply chain of being tracked into the pipeline, whether it's a supermarket, whether it's Marikiti, whether it's a mama mboga next door, it finally gets itself, lands in the kitchen of somebody.
Karani insists that developing local supply chain and self-reliance will be the only insurance against the future supply chain disruptions.
They came to the table and played a very critical role in beefing up that gap that had been created in terms of the pipeline of supply chain by creating alternative supply points, by developing local supply capability, which is one of the things that made us know that you cannot be over-dependent on one source.
At the height of COVID-19 pandemic, supply chain was highly affected. This led to shortage of products across the country.
The window that COVID has given us is how can we recalibrate our manufacturing system? How can we reconfigure our thinking to create, because what we lack probably today is the capital equipment, but they're available, you can import them for now. Eventually we'll actually make our own capital, but now use that imported capital to create our own economic hubs.
But what are the factors one should consider before choosing a certain mode of supply chain?
The key decision you have to make, therefore, what's the best economic model here? Is it to buy, but are you buying with a long-term view of creating your own? Or do you borrow? Just like your own, even personally, if you want, for instance, do you want to build a house? So it's a big cost, it takes time. Yeah. Or do you want to rent, which means a short-term time. But when you look at the long-term value, probably building is good, but it'll take you time to enjoy it.
With supply chain professionals whose integrity has been questioned, Karani insists that they should not be crucified because of other people's mistakes.
Supply chain is a network. It's an activity that involves many people. Supply chain professionals only happen to be a piece of the cog. That cog starts from the user departments. And those people might be engineers or other types of professionals. Then, after you got the users, you got actually the people who own it starts from planning, by the budget place. So that process of budgeting, planning, and then now, even before it comes to the procurement process itself, has a lot of players.
Karani tells me that the difference between the private sector and public sector is profit orientation that needs to be entrenched in the public sector.
There are many restrictions in public procurement. Good restrictions to safeguard the organizations, but they actually end up being very laborious, very bureaucratic. And so you end up, as long as it's not the cheapest always that will win. No, there are many other reasons that factor into supply chain decisions.
Despite the advent of technology, Karani insists that blockchain will not replace supply chain.
The jobs of today are not the jobs of tomorrow. And the jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of the future. What it tells you that I can tell you machines will never replace human beings. I'm very categorical with that. The only thing that will change is we as human beings need to adapt ourselves so that as the machines do some jobs, what are those jobs we can continue doing?
With the formation of a fully functional board, the KISM chairperson is optimistic that they will weed out corrupt individuals and promote the integrity of the profession.
Reporting for Supply Chain Africa News, my name is Wandabo Wanyama.